The coddling is for the white boys. That's what's happening right now. I am tired of the white tears. Listen, if you are competent, you are not concerned. When I walk into Congress every single day, you know why I don't feel away and why you can't make me doubt who I am? Is because I know that I had to work 10 times as hard as they did just to get into the seat.
In America, there's a thing about both white vigilantism and white tears, particularly male white tears.
Let me just be clear. I got into Harvard only because of affirmative action. I went to a school no one had ever heard of in Denver, Colorado, in a small suburb. But someone came to Denver, Colorado to look for me. A Harvard recruiter flew to Denver, and I met up with her at the Village Inn restaurant and did a pre-interview to get to pull me into Harvard. I was pulled in, and the schools like Harvard and Yale that I got into affirmatively. Yes. And it was literally not saying we're going to take an unqualified person and put them in Harvard. Yes. We're going to take a very qualified person who we would never know existed and put them in Harvard. That's how I got there. That's how Ketanji got there. That's how Justice Jackson, I should say. Justice Jackson got there. It's how Clarence Thomas got there. Right. But the minute I arrived from my majority black little town, Montbello in Denver, to Harvard, the first week or two that I was in class, my presence was questioned by white people. I was in this big conference class where some white students stood up and said, those students, the black students, they're only here because of affirmative action.
You see, that's how adolescently stupid these people are. She literally makes our point for us. As soon as she got to Harvard, the white people around her questioned whether she even belonged there. That's our point. If you didn't have DEI, they wouldn't question it. With DEI, it's actually right for them to question whether you're there on your own merits or whether you're there because of special treatment. As soon as you implement special treatment, yeah, everybody's going to wonder whether you got it or not. It's just mindless stupidity coming out of this Democratic Party and their allies. So for a short intro that you'll probably just fast forward through, I know I do. We're going to be talking about Jasmine Crockett and her racist DEI rant. Also, it was a small win for the sanity side yesterday. Joy Reid, racist woman from MSNBC, was finally let go. We're going to be talking about Sunny Hostin and her DEI victimhood rant. How they really accidentally prove our point about DEI by these little racist rants that they go on. And the last thing, I'm ready for Trump to take a look at the education system, because I know for a fact that that's the mother lode. The education system it's not bad. It's not in bad shape. It's fundamentally broken. It is. We've hired these liberal arts, cultural Marxist types of, professors who essentially churn out activists. These people aren't educated. They're not coming out of college educated. They're coming out like Jasmine Crockett with fundamental flawed visions of reality. And so that's what we're going to talk about for a quick intro. Let's do it.
Would that give him the right to be able to access the Treasury Department's payment system or even USAID?
No, absolutely not. I like that you laid out the description of the type of employee he is. This is the first that I'm actually hearing of it. We thought that this may have been his classification. With this classification, you normally are not allowed to run anything. Absolutely not. So that's already exceeding the scope of what you're allowed to do with this type of classification. That's number one. Number two, with this type of classification, you're looking at maybe about 120 days. This isn't somebody that is supposed to be on full time forever. So maybe that's why he wants to sleep on the job, because he knows that it's supposed to expire. But right now we have an administration that could care less about what the courts say that they can do, that could care less about what the law says, that could care less about the Constitution. And so I think that we have
When it comes to the Constitution, Donald Trump is actually trying to save the Constitution from you fools who want to rip it up. They tried to stack the Supreme Court. So Kamala Harris said openly at a speech that if the Constitution gets in the way, they should just ignore it. As far as like taking people's guns away and shit, this is what the Democrat Party does. They are the party of everything they accuse the others of doing.
To understand that we are not dealing with normal people. We are
You're right. We're not. This is what we've been trying to say the whole time. You guys are not normal people. You are fucking radicals who view yourselves as revolutionaries, Black Panthers or some shit. You're not, the current Democratic Party is not normal. They've lost it. They've dropped the ball on everything. Like, and they still just don't get it. They can't understand. And just about the talking points thing, you can see her right there with her actual finger on the talking point like this, reading it. Like, it's so pitiful, man.
dealing with someone who is proven to be a criminal, proven to be disrespectful to us as Americans. And listen, we have to fight him the exact same way. We have to come back with the same type of energy, which means that if you want to play ball, then I'm ready to play ball. Listen, you guys decided to do this while the House was out. Well, the House is back in as of tomorrow, and I can guarantee you there will be some spicy things that I will be up to tomorrow, because I am a duly elected member of the U.S. House, and we will have some things that we are trying to do. As of today, we know that
Well, like what, for example?
so Ranker Meeks, who is the ranker for Foreign Affairs, he filed a privileged motion as relates to this trade war, which, of course, Trump has allegedly resolved that very quickly, but he was exceeding his emergency powers. He was misusing his emergency powers to try to engage in this anyway. So at this point in time, if we've got to file privileged motions, if we've got to do amicus briefs, if we've got to physically show up some places and ask some questions, because you can't keep us out. You may be able to say to whomever is running security somewhere that you're going to keep employees out. But as a sitting member of Congress, especially one that serves on oversight, and I've got oversight over the entire federal government, you're not going to keep me out of anything.
One of the things that's been happening in terms of the playing ball has been federal unions have been suing to block Musk's ability to actually access the sensitive data for the Treasury.
Yeah.
Congress, obviously, in a different position than a litigant, an average litigant. What could the Democrats do specifically, as opposed to being in the majority, to actually try to combat this? It doesn't sound like there's the largest of appetites among Republicans to say that the mandate may have been for you to serve in office, but not to have this wide scope of authority for a non-elected official.
Well, I'm definitely going to say that the mandate wasn't there at all. The numbers are really small, kind of like his crowds.
Isn't that unbelievable? Like, actually unbelievable. If she truly believes what just came out of her mouth, like, oh, there was no mandate and his crowds are small. Are you out of your fucking mind? He has the largest rallies of any sitting president ever in history. And everybody knows that. So keep trying to lie and gaslight the American people all you want, but the shit is not working. It's over. You guys' credibility is lost. Period. And it's because of shit like that, you know. Try to just outright gaslight and lie to the American people some more, why don't you?
So I'm not going to say that there was a mandate, but what I will say is that it is time for us to stand shoulder to shoulder with those that are going to file those lawsuits. We've got to make sure that they know that we are giving them access to our constituents, making sure that they know these are the stories of our constituents. These are the ones that are willing to testify about the fear that they are living through. I get emails consistently about people saying, what the heck is going on? And here's the reality. The reason that you have to have a certain level of clearance before you can engage in these types of actions, or you may even have to be confirmed in some way, is because really you can cause a lot of harm. And no one has explained, listen, if your whole job is to figure out where we can cut money, then sit down and look at the budget and say line by line, listen, Mr. President, what you should do is in your proposed budget that you send over to the Congress, you should cut this, you should cut that, the same way that he decided during his first term that he was going to zero out money for HBCUs, and Dr. Adams had to come and fight to get that money for HBCUs back.
I will note that if you are a special government employee, there are limitations for when you have to file disclosure or ethics. If you exceed a certain amount of time, it triggers even more oversight over
Yeah.
who you are for the reasons you're talking about. But I want to get to a new appointment that seems to be happening. President Trump is appointing Darren Beattie to a top State Department role. I know many people remember who Darren Beattie is. He was fired in 2018 from being a speechwriter. He was speaking at a conference attended by white nationalists.
And that's how pathetic CNN is as a fucking mainstream news organization that was attended by white nationalists at a conservative meeting. It was a conservative gathering. And you're so pathetic that you reported as it was attended by white nationalists.
And then a few months ago, he posted this, Congresswoman. Competent white men must be in charge if you want things to work. Unfortunately, our entire national ideology is predicated on coddling the feelings of women and minorities and demoralizing competent white men. Your reaction to his appointment?
He needs to go. I mean, this is very simple. We right now have a white supremacist that is sitting in the White House. He is backed up by other white supremacists. And if you really want to know who the criminals are in this country, you can Google it. You don't have to trust me. But the people that commit 80% of the most violent crimes in this country are white supremacists. Yet for whatever reason, they sit and they serve at the pleasure of the president.
You know, that's like 5 straight up lies in a row just now. We're run by white supremacists, Donald Trump, who's surrounded by other white supremacists. She looks down at her talking point. This is how you know the Democratic Party is controlled by radicals. Whoever's above her gave her these talking points. And she has to look down at them to see, to get it right. And then she comes back up and says 5 lies in a row, including that 80% of violent crimes in this country are committed by white supremacists. See, this is what these fucking radicals do. They, and people fall for it. There's some dumbasses out there, including people in my family, that fall for this trash. That, you know, they just present narratives, because they're not facts. They present these narratives as if they're fact, and then give 0 facts to back it up. 0 context to back anything up that she says whatsoever. That's how you know it's all lies, man. Because there's no context. Like, let's just look real quick at Perplexity here. So I looked it up just to see, like, where in the fuck would she get something that retarded from? Where did Jasmine Crockett get that 80% of crimes are committed by white supremacists? Let's see here. This is an AI that's going to fucking walk the entire internet to see if there's anything like that out there. I apologize, but I could not find any information in the provided search regarding Jasmine Crockett's claim that 80% of crimes are committed by white supremacists. The search results do not contain any statements from Crockett regarding such statistics. Without additional context or sources, I cannot verify the comments or the origin claim. The search results primary. She made it up. Or someone in the radical ass Democratic Party made it up and gave her the talking point.
They are the ones that were there on January 6th, tearing our democracy down physically. And now we have them tearing us down right here from within. Here is the problem.
Of course, Congresswoman, to interrupt you, but President Trump, of course, has denied any allegations of white supremacists, and that's why he apparently fired what he. I know your point, but he did fire Darren Beattie in reaction, they believe, in part to his attendance at that conference. Does that change your opinion in any
No,
way?
it doesn't change my opinion because
Like here, we don't care that it's not true. Just say this. We don't care that there's absolutely not a shred of evidence to ever say Donald Trump is a racist whatsoever. But here, say it anyway.
we saw what he literally recently just posted, and the coddling is for the white boys. That's what's happening right now. I am tired of the white tears. Listen, if you are competent, You are not concerned. When I walk into Congress every single day, you know why I don't feel a way and why you can't make me doubt who I am is because I know that I had to work 10 times as hard as they did just to get into the seat. When you look and you compare me to Marjorie Taylor Greene or me to Lauren Boebert, there is no comparison. And that is the life that we have always lived. So the only people that are crying are the mediocre white boys that have been beaten out by people that historically have had to work so much harder. This
really proves the point of DEI for us. This is why we don't want DEI and affirmative action, because we end up with racist, spoiled ass little girls like you who, like, you get special treatment, and then once you get into the special treatment, you claim about how much harder you had to work than everybody else. And
this is why they don't want us to have education. This is why they are trying to literally say we won't fund the HBCUs, because they know that if they've already gone after affirmative action and they're saying, you know what, don't allow them to come into, say, these PWIs, as we call them, don't allow them to come into these institutions. We know why they created the HBCUs in the first place. It was because they wouldn't allow us into the white institutions. And so now they're not allowing us in. And now they're saying, you know what, we're also going to defund the HBCUs. You know why? Because they don't want any more Kamala Harrises. They don't want any more Jasmine Crockets. But I got news for them. I don't care what they do. We will fight to the end to make sure that we get our due. Because again, if you want to talk about the people that shouldn't be in this country, you probably need to look in the mirror, because the last time I checked, the Native Americans who Summer ICE have been rounding up, or the Puerto Ricans who are absolutely Americans, listen, the only people that came and colonized this place are your ancestors, Trump.
There she is, showing her stupidity again, because she literally just said white people should leave the country because we were the people that colonized it. Completely overlooking the fact that the French had a colony here. We actually bought Louisiana from Napoleon, the French. The Spanish had a colony here. The Spanish owned Texas at the time. We were only 13 colonies at that point with settlers, not immigrants, proving our point that with DEI and affirmative action, you get not even mediocre, because you're hiring people directly off their race. And that's how you ended up with a historically illiterate, mindless, cultural Marxist. This would not happen if you hired the competent people instead of... Now, we're not talking about white people. Just hire the competent people. When you hire people directly off their race or skin color or ethnicity, you end up with shit you end up with the Kamala Harrises, with the Jasmine Crockets, with the Laura Coateses, with the Joy Reids. This is exactly what we're talking about. Where are the Harris Faulkners? The competent, professional, insightful, intellectual commentary that you would get if you hired somebody that was competent. That's all we're asking for. We're asking for no discrimination. The people that are against DEI, we just don't want discrimination in place of discrimination. You can't fight discrimination with discrimination. That's all we're asking for. Hire the competent people and don't even take their race or ethnicity into account. Why are y'all so pressed about that? Why are you arguing for discrimination? It's pathetic. It's actually ironic. She sits there with this visceral hate for men and white people, when in reality she should be thanking white people, because in all reality she wouldn't even be here if we didn't colonize this country, as she says.
Is because you can then misuse words like oppression. There has been no oppression for the white man in this country. You tell me which white men were dragged out of their homes. You tell me which one of them got dragged all the way across an ocean and told that you are going to go and work. We are going to steal your wives. We are going to rape your wives. That didn't happen. That is oppression. We didn't ask to be here. We not the same migrants that y'all constantly come up against. We didn't run away from home. We were stolen. So yeah, we are going to sit here and be offended when you want to sit here and act like, and don't let it escape you that it is white men on this side of the aisle telling us, people of color on this side of the aisle, that y'all are the ones being oppressed, that y'all are the ones that are being harmed.
It's like, my God, man, you would think she was a slave or her grandmother got dragged out of her home and oppressed. Like, they can't fathom that this was over 200 years ago. Like, get real, man. You sound like you want to suck off Karl Marx. You sound like you know the names, first and last name, of every single Black Panther of the social justice movement in the 1960s by name. It's like you sound dumb. She said ICE has been rounding up Native Americans and Puerto Ricans who are absolutely American. Bro, like, she's dumb. She's actually slow in the head. I'm sorry, it's really not that. It's that she has been subverted by the people who were supposed to educate her, let her down. And instead of educating her, they purposely radicalized her with lies and deceit. And your grandmothers were dragged out of their home and they were stolen, and we're not the same migrants and we didn't choose to come here. Like, who says stuff like that? This is what I mean. This is how women became insufferable, because you give people privileged positions through affirmative action, DEI, or whatever, then they think they belong there, and it boosts their confidence to an unrealistic, existence, to where she actually thinks, she really believes that she is the shit. She thinks she is the smartest person in the room. She thinks she knows everything. This is what you get when you allow, admitted Marxist to take over your school systems. This is what happens. We're seeing the results of Marxist propaganda. That's another lie, straight from the Marxist playbook, that we colonized this country and we were the only people that did it. Like, completely overlooking the fact that the French had a colony here, the Spanish had a colony here. There was a war going on between the Native Americans where the Apache and the Comanche were literally fighting a war of extermination. But yeah, white people should leave the country because we colonized it, apparently. This is the lie, the leftist lies that is ruining our country. The complete intellectual bankruptcy that is plaguing our nation is on full display right here with this chick. As I said before, man, if the Democrat Party ever wants to be taken seriously again, all these communists have to go. AOC, her, Ilhan Omar, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, those are just the mandatory ones. Then you got the other semi-slow people that are like on the borderline of Marxist idiocy that need to probably go also, like Hakeem Jeffries and all these people in this that bought the leftist narrative that this country is just a racist shithole that needs completely overhauled. They all have to go, or this party will never win a legitimate election ever again. Where are the Harris Faulkners, the competent, professional, insightful, intellectual commentary that you would get if you hired somebody that was competent? That's all we're asking for. We're asking for no discrimination. The people that are against DEI, we just don't want discrimination in place of discrimination. So here's Trump actually finally calling CNN and MSNBC and NBC and CBS, calling them out for their bullshit, and actually finally calling out the truth that these networks are actually a threat to democracy, a real threat they have become, because they've become so incompetent, you know, and hateful about Trump. It's sad to watch, but yeah, he calls them out as a threat to democracy and calls them out for their lies and fake news, because that's what they are. They have become outright tools of the Democratic Party, of political interest.
Watch this MSNBC, which is a threat to democracy, actually. They're stone cold mean, but they're stuttering. They're all screwed up. They're all mentally screwed up. They don't know what. Their ratings have gone down the tubes. I don't even talk about CNN. CNN's sort of like, I don't know, they're pathetic, actually. But MSNBC was mean. Their ratings are absolutely down. This Rachel Maddow, what does she have? She's got nothing. Nothing. She took a sabbatical where she worked one day a week. They paid her a lot of money. She gets no ratings. I should go against her in the ratings, because I'll tell you, she gets no ratings. All she does is to talk about Trump, 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 Trump. All different subjects, Trump this, Trump that. But these people are really, I mean, they lie.